There was no room for my daughter. My name is Alina Morrison. I am 32 years old. I am a mother before I am anything else. And this is the story of the night an earthquake destroyed my home and something much deeper inside me. The earthquake struck at 2:17 a.m. I remember the time because I had just checked the clock before drifting to sleep. My 5-year-old daughter, Lily, had crawled into my bed that night because she said the wind sounded angry. I smiled at the memory now. She had no idea how right she was. At first, I thought a truck had hit the building. Then the walls started moving. The sound was unlike anything I had ever heard. A deep, cracking roar, like the earth itself was tearing open. The dresser tipped. A picture frame shattered. The floor shifted violently beneath us. "Mommy?" Lily's voice trembled. "I've got you," I said, grabbing her and rolling off the bed, just as the ceiling fan crashed down where we'd been lying. The building shook for what felt like forever. It was probably less than a minute. But fear stretches time. When it stopped, the silence felt wrong, like the world was holding its breath. The hallway outside our apartment was chaos. Neighbors screaming, fire alarms wailing, someone crying for help. I carried Lily barefoot down 3 flights of stairs. Concrete dust coated the air. I could taste it. Outside, people stood in pajamas, wrapped in blankets, staring at the cracks running up the side of our building like lightning frozen in stone. By sunrise, we knew. The structure wasn't safe. We couldn't go back inside. Everything we owned, clothes, documents, photos, Lily's drawings taped to the refrigerator, trapped behind yellow caution tape. And just like that, we were homeless. I tried to stay calm for Lily. "Is this an adventure?" she asked while we sat in my car later that morning. "Yes," I lied gently, "a short one." I called my insurance company. Long wait times, processing delays, structural inspections required. I called hotels, fully booked. I called friends. Most lived in small apartments already crowded with roommates or toddlers of their own. By noon, exhaustion began to creep in. Not physical exhaustion, but emotional. The kind that settles into your bones when you realize you don't have a backup plan. So I did what I never wanted to do. I called my parents. My parents, Richard and Carol Morrison, lived 25 minutes away in a 4-bedroom house. A large house. A comfortable house. A house with a finished basement, a guest suite, and, ironically, a game room built last year for my sister's children. I hadn't lived there since I was 19. Our relationship was complicated. I was the independent one, the stubborn one, the one who moved out early, worked 2 jobs, refused financial help. My younger sister, Amanda, was different. She stayed close, married young, had 2 kids, Oliver and Sophie, who practically grew up inside our parents' home. Amanda's children each had their own room there. There was even a dedicated playroom filled with toys, beanbags, and a giant mounted TV. But I told myself this wasn't the time to revisit old comparisons. This was survival. I dialed. My mother answered on the 4th ring. "Alina, is everything okay?" "There was an earthquake," I said, my voice shaking despite my effort to sound steady. "The building isn't safe. Lily and I. We don't have anywhere to stay." Silence. Then, "Oh my goodness, are you safe?" "Yes, we're safe." Another pause. "Well, what are you thinking?" I swallowed. "Could we stay with you? Just temporarily. A few weeks, maybe." More silence. I heard muffled voices in the background, my father asking something, my mother covering the phone. I stared at Lily in the back seat, hugging her stuffed rabbit. Finally, my mother returned. "You can stay," she said. Relief flooded me so fast I almost cried. "Thank you," I whispered. But she continued carefully, "Only you." My brain didn't process it. "I'm sorry. There just isn't space for Lily right now." I actually laughed, thinking she must be joking. "Mom, I'm not asking you to adopt her. Just until I figure things out. It's not that, she replied, voice tightening. Amanda's kids are here most days. Their rooms are full. The house is busy. It would be overwhelming. I blinked. They each have their own rooms. Yes, but routines are important. She's 5. I know, but you have a guest room. That's your father's office now. And the basement. That's storage. And the game room. That's for the children. My heart began to pound. She is a child. Another silence. It's just not ideal, my mother said finally. You're welcome here. Alone. You can rest. Think clearly. Lily could stay with her father? I felt something inside me crack. Lily's father left when she was 2. No calls in 3 years. You know that's not possible. Well, maybe a friend? I looked at my daughter again. She was watching me now. Kids always know. Mom, I said slowly, are you asking me to leave my 5-year-old somewhere else so I can sleep in your guest room? I'm asking you to consider what's practical. Practical. The word echoed in my head like aftershock. I'll call you back, I said, and I hung up. I sat there for a long time. Cars passed. Sirens wailed in the distance. Emergency crews blocked off roads. Lily leaned forward between the seats. Grandma said no. I forced a smile. Grandma said we're figuring it out. She nodded like that made sense. I started the car. In that moment, something shifted inside me. Not anger exactly. Not yet. Clarity. For years, I told myself the distance between me and my parents was personality differences, generational gaps, misunderstandings. But now, with my child sitting behind me, dusty from fallen drywall, still wearing pajamas at 2 p.m., I understood something new. Support isn't measured by square footage. It's measured by who gets offered shelter. That evening, my sister called. I heard about the earthquake. Amanda said dramatically, "Are you okay?" "We're fine." "Mom said you called." "Yes." She told me what she suggested. What she suggested? That maybe Lily stays somewhere else so you could decompress. Honestly, that might not be a bad idea. Kids pick up on stress. I closed my eyes. Do your kids pick up on stress when they stay at mom and dad's 5 days a week? That's different. How? Silence. You've always been sensitive, she said finally. And there it was. Sensitive. Another word used to shrink my reality. I ended the call politely. Then I cried. Not because we didn't have a place to stay, but because I finally understood my position in my own family. There was space in the house, just not for us. That night, Lily and I slept in my car in a grocery store parking lot. I told her it was camping. She believed me. Children trust so easily, and I made myself a promise under that flickering streetlight. No one would ever make her feel like she was the extra piece, not even family. The people who had space in their hearts. The second night after the earthquake, I stopped pretending it was an adventure. Lily had stopped asking questions. That scared me more than anything. Children only go quiet when they sense something isn't temporary. I had spent the day making calls, insurance adjusters, disaster relief hotlines, property management offices. Every conversation ended the same way. We're experiencing high volume right now. Processing times may take weeks. Temporary housing assistance is limited. Weeks. I didn't have weeks. By late afternoon, I parked outside the elementary school Lily attended. It was closed due to structural inspections, but I just needed a place that felt normal. I watched the empty playground and felt something heavy settle in my chest. I had always prided myself on being independent. I never asked for help. I never leaned on anyone. But independence doesn't mean isolation. And I was starting to understand the difference. That's when I noticed someone waving at me from across the street. It was Mrs. Alvarez, Lily's kindergarten teacher. She was unlocking her car, probably coming to check on the classroom. "Elena?" She called out gently, "Are you okay?" I stepped out of the car, forcing a smile. "We're fine. Teachers can always tell when you're lying." She walked closer, her expression softening when she saw Lily asleep in the back seat. "Where are you staying?" she asked quietly. The question broke something inside me. I hesitated. Then I told the truth. Her face didn't show judgment. It showed concern. "Come with me," she said immediately. "I can't impose." "You're not imposing, you're coming." There was no drama in her tone, no hesitation, just certainty. That certainty felt like oxygen. Mrs. Alvarez lived in a small two-bedroom apartment above her sister's bakery. It wasn't big, it wasn't luxurious, but it was warm. Her sister Marisol greeted us at the door like we were expected guests. "Oh my goodness," she said, kneeling down to Lily, "you must be starving." Within minutes, Lily was at the kitchen table eating fresh bread and soup. No one asked for conditions. No one suggested separating us. They simply made space. That night, Lily slept in a real bed. "I don't want to disrupt your life," she smiled. Helping someone during a crisis isn't disruption, it's community. Community. I realized I hadn't felt that word in years. My parents lived 25 minutes away, I admitted quietly. She didn't react with surprise. They couldn't take both of us. She didn't criticize them. She simply asked, "How did that make you feel?" No one had asked me that yet. "Like my daughter was negotiable," I said. And the tears came again. Mrs. Alvarez reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Children are never negotiable," she said firmly. That sentence stayed with me. Over the next few days, something unexpected happened. Help came from places I never thought to look. One of Marisol's bakery customers, Mr. Bennett, overheard part of our situation and offered to connect me with a local housing coordinator. A neighbor downstairs, Tasha, brought over bags of children's clothes her daughter had outgrown. The school principal called to check in personally. Strangers showed up with empathy. Family had shown me conditions. The contrast was impossible to ignore. On the fourth day, my mother called. "We haven't heard from you," she said. "We're okay. Where are you staying?" "With Lily's teacher." Silence. "That seems inappropriate." I almost laughed. Inappropriate? You don't want to rely on outsiders. It reflects poorly. On who? Another silence. "Alina, we were trying to help. By asking me to leave my child, you're twisting it." "No," I said calmly. "I'm understanding it." That was the difference. Before, I would have apologized, backtracked, minimized. Now, something steadier was growing inside me. A boundary. That evening, while Lily colored at the kitchen table, she looked up at me. "Mom?" "Yes?" "Are we going back to Grandma's house?" I knelt beside her. "Do you want to?" She thought carefully. "They don't like me there." My throat tightened. "Why would you think that?" "Because you cried in the car." 5 years old, and already reading emotional weather patterns. I hugged her tightly. "Listen to me," I whispered. "You're never the problem, not anywhere." She nodded. "Children believe what you repeat." I made sure to repeat it often. 2 weeks passed. Insurance finally approved temporary housing assistance. It wasn't perfect, a small furnished apartment across town, but it was ours. The day we packed our few borrowed belongings from Mrs. Alvarez's apartment, I felt something deeper than gratitude. I felt changed. Before the earthquake, I believed stability came from structures, buildings, savings accounts, routines. But the quake had shown me something different. Stability comes from relationships that don't require you to shrink. The final confrontation happened unexpectedly. Amanda showed up at the temporary apartment one afternoon. She looked uncomfortable. "I didn't realize it was this serious," she said. "What did you think?" I asked. "I thought you were overreacting." I waited. She glanced around the modest living room. "You could have stayed at Mom and Dad's." Alone? It wouldn't have been forever. That's not the point. She sighed. You've always been dramatic. I surprised myself by smiling. No, I've always been quiet. That confused her. I accepted small things for a long time, I continued. Little exclusions, little comparisons. But when it involved my daughter, it wasn't small anymore. Amanda didn't argue. Because she knew. She knew her children had never been asked to adjust. She knew doors had always opened fully for them. I didn't mean for Lily to feel unwanted, she said quietly. But she did. That was the truth. And truth doesn't need volume. After she left, I sat on the floor beside Lily while she built towers out of plastic blocks donated by the bakery downstairs. Mom, she said casually, when I grow up, I'm going to have a big house. Really? Yes, and everyone can stay, even if they bring kids. I smiled. That sounds perfect. And in that moment, I understood the real lesson of the earthquake. It wasn't about buildings collapsing. It was about illusions collapsing. I had believed blood automatically meant belonging. But belonging is proven in crisis, not claimed in comfort. The earthquake cracked concrete, but it also cracked denial. And from those cracks, something stronger began to grow. Self-respect, boundaries, clarity, and a promise to my daughter that love would never come with conditions. What the earthquake couldn't destroy. 3 months after the earthquake, my life looked stable again on the outside. I slept on the couch. And for the first time in 48 hours, I allowed myself to exhale. Later, while Lily slept, Mrs. Alvarez sat across from me at the small kitchen table. Lily and I had settled into the temporary apartment. Insurance funds were finally moving forward. My job allowed remote flexibility while reconstruction decisions were being made. The school reopened, routine returned. But something inside me had permanently shifted. When structures collapse, you rebuild them. When illusions collapse, you rebuild yourself. I hadn't visited my parents' house since the phone call. They hadn't visited me either. We existed in a strange, polite silence, occasional text messages, neutral updates, surface-level check-ins. No one mentioned the words that mattered. No one apologized. No one acknowledged the line that had been crossed. Until Thanksgiving. My mother called 2 weeks before the holiday. We're hosting dinner, she said. You and Lily should come. It wasn't an invitation filled with warmth. It was presented like a social expectation. I paused before answering. Will Lily have a place to sleep if we stay late? There was a noticeable hesitation. Well, Amanda's kids usually use their rooms. I'm not asking for a room, I said evenly. I'm asking if she'll be welcome. Silence. Yes, she said eventually. I heard the difference in tone. This time, it wasn't conditional. When we arrived that afternoon, the house looked exactly the same. The manicured lawn, the freshly painted shutters, the polished floors. But I wasn't the same. And that changed everything. Lily held my hand tightly as we walked inside. My father greeted us first. He looked older. Or maybe I was just seeing him clearly for the first time. Glad you made it, he said, nodding at Lily. Hey, kiddo. She gave a small smile. Children don't forget how spaces make them feel. They just wait to see if it's safe to trust again. Dinner was tense at first. Amanda's children ran through the house, laughing, loud, comfortable. Lily stayed close to me. At one point, she whispered, "Can I see the game room?" I looked at my mother. She hesitated, then nodded. Yes, of course. Lily walked down the hallway slowly, almost cautiously. Amanda's son, Oliver, shrugged and followed her. Within minutes, I heard laughter. Real laughter. The kind that doesn't calculate permission. And something inside my chest loosened slightly. Later that evening, after the dishes were cleared and the kids were distracted with cartoons, my mother approached me in the kitchen. I've been thinking, she said quietly. I waited. What happened? I didn't handle it well. That was as close to an apology as she'd ever come. You didn't think I'd actually sleep in my car, I said calmly. Her eyes flickered. No. That's the problem. She looked down. We thought you were strong. I am strong, I replied, but strength doesn't mean I don't need support. She swallowed. We didn't know how to adjust. Amanda's family is just here. And I wasn't? That question sat between us. Heavy. Unavoidable. You chose distance, she said carefully. I chose independence, I corrected. There's a difference. Another silence. Then something unexpected happened. My father joined us. I should have said something, he admitted, when your mother suggested you come alone. I blinked. I didn't. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't emotional. It was honest. And honesty carries weight. I thought you'd figure it out, he continued. You always do. I nodded slowly. Yes, I always do. That was the hidden burden. When you're the capable one, people assume you don't need protection. When you're the resilient one, people assume you don't feel rejection. But strength without support becomes loneliness. And I had lived in that quiet loneliness for years without naming it. Until the earthquake forced me to. That night, Lily fell asleep on the couch between her cousins. No one asked her to move. No one suggested conditions. And as I watched her peaceful face under a borrowed blanket, I understood something important. Boundaries don't destroy families. They reveal which relationships are willing to grow. A week later, my parents came to our apartment. Not to inspect. Not to criticize. To visit. My mother brought homemade soup. My father fixed a loose cabinet hinge without being asked. They sat at our small kitchen table, the same way Mrs. Alvarez once had, and listened. Actually listened. And I realized something else. People don't always change because they suddenly understand. Sometimes they change because consequences finally become visible. When we didn't beg, when we didn't argue, when we quietly built stability elsewhere, they saw the cost, and the distance, and maybe, just maybe, the reflection of their choice. Months later, reconstruction on my old building was officially deemed too expensive. Tenants were offered buyouts. Instead of trying to move back into what was, I used that money to make a different decision. I bought a small townhouse across town. Nothing grand. 2 bedrooms. A tiny backyard. But it was ours. On the day we moved in, Lily ran from room to room announcing, "This is the guest room. This is where friends can sleep. And this is where cousins can stay." I laughed. "Even if they bring kids?" I asked. She grinned. "Especially if they bring kids. Children learn from what we model, not from what we preach." And I had learned too. The earthquake taught me 3 things. First, blood does not automatically equal emotional safety. Family is proven through action, especially in crisis. Second, independence should never cost a child their sense of belonging. If support requires separation from your child, it isn't support. Third, boundaries are not disrespect. They are clarity. And clarity builds healthier relationships than silent resentment ever could. Today, my relationship with my parents is different. Not perfect. Not fully repaired. But honest. They make effort now. And I accept it without forgetting the lesson. Forgiveness doesn't erase memory. It just releases bitterness. Sometimes Lily asks about the earthquake. "Was it scary?" she'll say. "Yes," I tell her. "But it also showed us who had space for us." She nods thoughtfully. "And we have space now," she says. "Yes," I reply. "We do." Because in the end, home isn't about square footage. It's about whether a child feels wanted. The earthquake destroyed walls, but it built something stronger. A mother who no longer negotiates her daughter's worth, and a little girl who will grow up knowing she is never the extra piece. If you're new here, please subscribe to the channel and join us for more real-life stories, lessons, and eye-opening experiences. "You can stay as long as you need," she said. "I don't know how long that is." "That's okay.